Hi, good morning, one and all. My name is Narsin Reddy. I'm studying in Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, first year MBA, second semester. Today, I'm going to discussing about the financial management subject. Financial management subject under that I'm going to discussing about the shares. Shares. Under that, we are going to discussing the shares meaning first. A shares it is and represent the unit of equity, which means it is a part of ownership in a company, and shareholders are the until to any profits that the company may earn they earn the form of dividends, which means they getting the profits through the dividends, like investing the share, like through the investing shares. And after they are also barriers of any losses that the company may face. If the company face losses also, it is all responsibility goes to the investors also, it is applicable. After this meaning, in simple words we are discussing, it is a shareholder of the company. Share is a shareholder of company. You hold the percentage of ownership of the issuing company in the proposition to the share. You have the budget. Like this way also we are discussing. After the shares we are meaning, we are going to discussing various can the further recognition into types of this are the the shares can be divided as in two types. The two types is equity shares and preferential shares. First, we are going to discussing equity shares. Equity shares are equity shares are the ordinary shares, and it helps and it compromise the and it comprise the bulk of shares, and it helps to begin issued the particular company. Every company it is every company main focusing only the equity shares, which uh, because already they are the existing shareholders in the company, that purpose. And and they are discussing also the transferable and are traded actively by investors in the stock market. And also equity shareholders, you are not only entitled to voting rights and the company issue, but also have the right to receive and dividends. And there the equity shareholders also voting rights and receiving the dividends, and trading the investment activities also. The main trades they are included in the market. After the equity shares, we are going to discussing now preferences. The equity shares, which are gaining the rules and regulations and rights and importance. After the equity shares, dividends, however, are not fixed. The equity shareholders also participate in the any losses faced by the company, and it helps to limited the amount of they had invested. Equity shares can be further dividend based on, which means on the based on the previous year investment, they are taking the present year investment also. Share capital and definitions and the returns also we are discussing. Classification of equity shares based on the share capital. Equity shares are classified as based on the share capital, the authorized share capital and unauthorized share capital. Authorized capital shares, which means every company in the memorandum of association requires to prescribe a maximum amount of capital that can be raised to producers equity shares, and it helps to limit the waiver can be increased the paying additional fees also. It helps to accomplish the and it helps to completion of the certain legal procedures in the company. After the authorized capital, we are going to discussing issued share capital. Issued share capital is an type of equity share capital based on the share capital, and this is an implies the specific portion of the company and company's capital, which has been offered investment through the issue. issue of the equity shares. And for the example, nominal value stock rupees 20,000, company issue 20,000, 200, and company issue 2000 20,000 equity shares. The raised share capital will be 40 lakh. Like this way, issued of share capital is calculated. After the issued share capital, another one also, another type is there, subscribe share capital. Subscribe share portion of issued the share capital, and it helps to subscribed by investors in the known investors is known as a subscribed share capital. After the subscribed share capital, we are going to discuss now paid up capital. Paid up capital is an amount of money paid up the investors by holding the company stocks, known as paid up capital, and it helps to pay the entire amount at the subscribed and paid up capital refer to the same amount. After the types of equity shares, we are going to discussing voting and non-voting shares. Voting and non-voting, the although the majority shares carry voting rights, and the company can be make expectations and issue the differential and zero voting rates to the shareholders. And classification of equity share based on returns. The based on returns means based on providing compensation, which are giving the returns to the equity shares. They are discussing dividend shares also they are issuing, and growth shares also issuing. Dividend shares are distributed as dividends in the form issuing new shares on that time. Their pro rata basis they are given. After the dividend shares returns, after another one also growth shares issue returns also there. Growth shares are types of shares associated with the companies that extraordinarily growth rates, which means the minimum the minimum profit value cross to the top level profit on that moment. This kind of shares which are available on that moment, they are provided say dividends through their stock increase rapidly on that moment through the capital to the investors. After the voting rates and classification of equity shares and based on the returns, where the another returns also there's value shares and preferential shares. The value shares, these are types of traded in the stock market, which are provided to the which are practices, and it helps to the intrinsic value investors in the specific perspectives and appreciate the over sometimes, thus providing the with the better share price. And preference shares also, preference shares receive the preference receiving the profits of a company as compared to the ordinary shares. And also it helps to the events of the illiquidations, and a particular company in the preference shareholders are paid up before the ordinary shares. And it helps to different types of shares